Hello everybody and welcome to this month's episode of the Butterfly Princess Show Book Club. This month we are discussing the Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory. Now, for a start, I've got to say that Philippa Gregory is in my opinion, is one of my best favourite authors for historical fiction. And the reason why I chose this book for the Butterfly Princess Show Book Club and why I've decided to discuss it with you this month is because I'm really fascinated by the Tudor period, and I'm really fascinated by Anne Boleyn, who was, of course, the second wife of Henry VIII. But this story, The Other Boleyn Girl, it isn't really about Anne. Well, it is, because her story sort of interrupts. So this story, The Other Boleyn Girl, is basically the story of her sister Mary Boleyn. Obviously not much is really known about Mary because she was sort of very much in the shadow of her sister Anne. So this book, Philippa Gregory has sort of written this book from Mary's perspective. So we hear a bit of her story and what she thinks of everything going on with Anne and the Boleyn family as a whole. We follow Mary from a 15-year period. So we follow her from 1521 when she is a 13-year-old girl and she's been married off for a year to this gent called William Kirby. They've been married a year, but they haven't really been intimate as a husband and wife usually are, because Mary is sort of a pawn in the family in the family game. So her uncle, the Duke of Norfolk, her Uncle Howard, and her father, Thomas Boleyn, are very ambitious men. You got men who were a lot of ambition in the Tudor period, and they want to get really high up on the social ladder and really have a high influence within the Tudor court. So they place Mary into the court, the eyes of King Henry, because obviously during this time Henry VIII is still married to his first wife, the Spanish Queen, Catherine of Aragon, and they've been married for quite a few years, but they only have one daughter, Mary. Now, Henry believes he needs a male heir to secure his succession to the throne, because in Tudor times it wasn't believed that women could rule, but obviously that'll be proven wrong with the long reign of Elizabeth in years to come. So Henry's without a male heir, and he desperately needs it to secure the line of succession. So in order to gain prestige and influence within the Tudor court, they place Mary to be the mistress of the king, and they have a son together. But unfortunately, Mary's sort of pushed out into favour with, because along comes Anne, you know, Anne Boleyn, who's been away at the French court, and she's learned a lot of, you know, how to speak politically, you know, in the French manner, and how to, like, you know, other things. So she becomes the new favourite of the Boleyn family in order to to in order to you know, up the stakes even more. And they want to place a Boleyn girl, you know, in the eyes of the king to be the mistress, because they don't, their enemies, the Boleyn's enemies of the court, of, you know, the influence is the Seymour family. They don't want, you know, any of the Seymours getting, you know, close to the king. So they either place a Boleyn girl or a Howard girl. And it's quite ironic that, you know, later on that Henry VIII will marry his third wife, Jane Seymour, after the death, after he's had Anne Boleyn beheaded many years after. We also learn that Mary is a quite independent woman. She doesn't want to be ambitious. All she wants to be is to live with her children and have a simple life. And when her first husband dies of, you know, the plague, the sweating sickness, she decides to marry for love. You know, she marries William Stafford, and all she wants to do is live a happy life and quiet life with them in the country, on the farm, you know, with the horses, etc. But she's always being drawn back to court by a even ambitious sister Anne, and, you know, George and everything. I've always felt the reason why I'm so much drawn to Anne Boleyn is because, you know, there's been a lot of theories, you know, in history. Was she really guilty of what she was accused of? And I always felt that she wasn't guilty of what she was accused of. I just thought that it was, you know, Henry getting tired because of the you know, because he couldn't have a male heir. He failed to have a male heir with Anne, although she gave birth to a lot of stillbirths and miscarriages like Catherine of Aragon had. And that was, but in this story, I think Philippa Gregory, I mean, that's the beauty, I suppose, of fiction, you know. It's not, it's based on a bit of truth, you know, because we know these characters really existed in history, and, you know, and some events which were like the break from Rome and everything, and the King's Great Matter, and being accused of adultery and incest. But I did feel that, you know, Philippa Gregory sort of showed a very different side to Anne. She showed it to be a bit of a, well, what's the best word that I can use? The best word I can use to describe how Philippa Gregory betrayed Anne was a bit like a bitch. A bit, she didn't, she was a bit dubious at first, you know, of, you know, like pleasing the king. And so, like, George and Mary had to teach, you know, how to please Henry in a sexual sense. And but when she captured the king, you know, she was sort of very selfish. She was only out for herself. And you know, that's how Philippa Gregory portrayed her. And though I did feel sorry for both women in the story, particularly Mary, because she just wanted a simple life, with her children, with her husband, and she couldn't do that because of her courtly politics and her role in seducing the king and playing an active role in helping Anne to seduce the king and become pregnant with a male heir. So they're the bits where I sympathised with Mary, and I was glad in the end that she got a happy ending with the children and her husband, although she did lose two members of her family, which she was very close to and loved very much. But I also felt sorry for Anne, really, because although she was portrayed as a bit of an ambitious bitch in the story by Philippa Gregory, I did feel sorry for her in the way that, she once she captured the king, she realised that, when she didn't become pregnant straight away, I mean, she gave birth to Elizabeth, and obviously that was a bit of a disappointment because it was a girl and she was adamant that she would give birth to a boy. And, as she sort of became out of favour with the king and out of favour with her family, she did begin to crumble, and uh, she was resorted to very desperate measures, and it just proves that in Tudor England, especially within the writings of Philippa Gregory, the historical fiction of Philippa Gregory and other writers who have wrote about the Tudor period and Henry VIII and Henry VIII's wives. But it was one thing to capture a king, which Anne did quite easily, because they were quite, but it was another thing and very much hard work and hard dubious task to keep the king, because once he was out of favour with the king, he was on to, searching out his next wife, and it just proves that, through Philippa Gregory's writing, I mean, she does portray a very good picture of the Tudor period of where women didn't have much of a say. It was more to do with, the men made the decisions, and they were just pawns for the men to get to to get to where they want. They use their daughters and the women in their life to get to where they wanted to be, no matter what the cost. And I think Philippa Gregory writes brilliantly from a women's perspective. I mean, she's written quite a number of Tudor novels, and I'm going to be reading some more of them in the future, and discussing them in future episodes of the Butterfly Princess Show Book Club. Another area of which she excels really well in her writing is the stories of the women of the Wars of the Roses. So she did a 5-book series about the Wars of the Roses. She wrote the Lady of the River, which was about Jacquessa Woodville. She wrote The White Queen, about the Elizabeth Woodville, who's the daughter of Jacquessa Woodville. She wrote the Red Queen, which is the story of Margaret Belfoot, obviously the mother of Henry Tudor and founder of the Tudor dynasty. The Kingmaker's Daughter, which was the book about Anne Neville, the daughter of the Earl of Warwick, Richard Neville, and the wife of Richard III. And she also wrote the book The White Princess, which is the story of Elizabeth of York, the wife of Henry Tudor and mother to Henry VIII and Prince Arthur. Now they are very. This is one of the reasons why Philippa Gregory is one of my all-time favourite writers of historical fiction, because she writes about, strong women and from their perspectives, because, in them days, Tudor periods and the medieval periods, women didn't have much of a voice, like like I said before, men played more of an active role, and women were just pushed to the background and made just for like breeding and things and everything. But Philippa Gregory, I think, in the stories she writes about women, particularly in the Tudor novels and the Plantagenet novels, she does give a very powerful voice to these women, and I'm really looking forward to reading her next and discussing her newest book. She's wrote a book called Normal Women, 900 Years of History, and that is just about, I think, how about normal women have lived and proceeded throughout history. So I'm really looking forward to that. So it was great to read this book because, I'm very much intrigued, like I said, by the Tudor period and by Anne Boleyn, but it was great to read this book also, to hearing the voice of Anne's sister Mary, because obviously we don't really know much about her, and even though this book is a work of fiction, because obviously I think Mary Boleyn was a prostitute at one point, but Philippa Gregory sort of brings Mary to life, and that's why I enjoyed the book. So I would recommend this book very much, especially if you're a fan of the Tudor period. But if you want to read the Plantagenet series of books as well by Philippa Gregory, I would really recommend them as well, because they're also a fascinating read. And also the Tudor novels are a fascinating read. And this book was, because obviously, I get all my books for the Butterfly Princess Show book club on the at Borrow Box. It's a free if you remember the library, where you can borrow e-magazines, e-books, and audio books, and this audio book was over 22 hours long, but you may feel that was a long time. That's a long time to sit listening to an audio book, but I really like longer books, long audio books that have a longer period of time, because you can really get into the story, and it gives you time to get lost into the world of the story. And if you sort of enjoy the story like I did, the Other Boleyn Girl, that long period of hours does seem to fly by, and is over in one quicker than you can in a blink of an eye. So yes, I really would recommend this book. So thank you for listening to this month's and tuning into this month's book club, Butterfly Princess Show book club episode, where I've been discussing The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory. Join me next month for the last Butterfly Princess book club episode of 2024, where I will be discussing another book, but I will not be revealing the name of that book until the week after, till the 24th of December, and the last episode of the year will be on the 31st of December, New Year's Eve. But for any news and updates, and any, like, you know, mini-series, historical mini-series, because I've got planned quite a lot of historical series over these past 2 nights. I've been working well into the night to plan all these future historical series. So for any of that, please remember to follow the Butterfly Princess Show on the following platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can follow the Butterfly Princess Show on these 4 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Until then, I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye for now.